Last thing for you here, Greg, and it requires a little bit of a wind up because I have worked with people who are terrific on the air who want to coach. And, Dion, as we all know, he's killing it at Colorado. I worked with him for a long time. Steve Mariucci, I remember a few Super Bowls ago, a long time ago, Washington came knocking on his door, and he really thought hard about it. And there is a report out there that you might be interested in the Carolina Panthers head coaching job. And I'd love to ask you what you have to say on that subject matter.
Yeah,
Greg.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that became a kind of a big story this week and whatnot. And obviously there's a lot of speculation and rumor and whatnot. I think the best thing I would say is who wouldn't, right? Obviously this is a city that I love. This is a team that I played the bulk of my career for. I want to see them have success. I live here. My kids are here. We want to see the Carolina Panthers return to, the level that we were able to have a good 5-6 year run where we were one of the more relevant, one of the better stories in the NFL year in and year out playing in the playoffs. Like, of course I want that for them. I love Chris Tabor, the interim coach there. Me and Chris go all the way back to Chicago. He was a young special teams coach when I was in Chicago. We've had a good friendship all the way through these years before, obviously before joining Carolina these last couple of seasons. So I want them to do well. So I would be crazy if they said, hey, listen, is this something you talk to us about? To entertain and take that conversation, I think that's fairly obvious, right? This is a game that I've loved. This is a game that I've been involved in now my entire life. And at the NFL level, almost 20 years. So that's what I'll say about that. How that all plays out, I don't know. I love doing what I'm doing right now, calling games, studying games. I love doing this. How that future unfolds, a lot of moving parts. Again, a lot of this is out of any of our control and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What I will say, though, which I think is a larger question and a larger conversation that has nothing to do with me.
Yes, sir.
Right? We saw it last year with Jeff Saturday taking over. I think there is an instant reaction that unless you've climbed the ladder from assistant to the assistant to the assistant, all the way up through coordinator to that unless you've lived the NFL lifestyle in that ladder, mm-hmm. that you can't be successful. And I think we have to be careful saying experience leads to competence. I think there's a lot of experienced guys who are very incompetent, and there's a lot of inexperienced guys who are highly competent in all industries. We see it a lot in baseball. We see it in basketball where guys, look at John Lynch. John Lynch had no experience in personnel, and I'd say he's done a good job. So I think we just have to be careful thinking that experience is the only prerequisite to being good at anything, coaching, broadcasting. We see it in all other industries. So I've lived in this world for 20 years. I've learned the ins and outs of it. Now I study it from a different angle. I don't necessarily think that in order to eventually get into being a coach and running a team, it has to be the only way we've ever known for 50 years. And and everyone else is not a candidate. And that has nothing to do with me. That has to do just with the industry. There's a lot of really smart, good football people. Look at John Lynch, is the most recent great example. And they've built arguably the best roster in football.
Yeah, and your answer right there, Greg, is proof, again, of why you're so good at what you do and what you're going to do Sunday for Fox as well. That's you were just genuine right there, and that shows in your broadcast. And again, I've been around a bunch of players, former players like yourself, who are great at broadcasting, who have this placed in front of them as potentially either an opportunity or not. And it's a difficult question to answer because a lot of people might think that means you're not happy with your current situation in broadcasting, and that's not it at all.
No,
that these opportunities
absolutely.
are like unicorns if they are available to you, and it's just something that you would be, I guess, interested in coaching, is what you're saying, Greg.
Yeah, this is not something I'm chasing. This is not something I'm calling. This is not something I'm actively pursuing. I would call the A game at Fox for 30 years if that was what was in the cards. But again, we all know how this whole world works, right? You know it. People come and go. Opportunities come and go. You don't. So I'm just never a believer in anything of just slamming the door on anything that you love and anything that you're passionate about. I think we all entertain opportunities. And whether the opportunity comes or not, I don't know, right? It's a hypothetical situation. And that's why, so to me, that's one half the equation. And the other half the equation is in this hypothetical, scenario, why not? And again, not me.
I got you.
Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom, whoever.
Yeah.
Why can't former players who have learned the ins and outs of football and been around it for 20 plus years, just because it wasn't in the assistant coach world, but it was in a very similar, highly involved, highly stressful locker room. Why not? Why do we just dismiss that as a pathway? I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation for people to have because other sports don't dismiss it. Other sports are open to it. I don't have the answer. I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Well, you know who would say that all the time? I would hear it all the time from him. I heard it a lot from Marshall Faulk and Deion Sanders. And Deion is the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year today. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.